Hi everyone, this is Jane from DB here bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today we are going to be talking about XINO, Xiaguan, and name-only tea. So what does that mean exactly? Well, Xiaguan is one of the big factories, perhaps the biggest, one of the top two biggest along with Dai. So it's a tea factory that makes a ton of tea. And when you have a factory that makes these sorts of teas, there are going to be certain images or there's going to be a certain house style. And Xiaguan definitely has a house style that's very recognizable. They're known for making like these very strong, smoky, pungent teas. A lot of their teas come in like tool cha form. They're also well known for iron cakes. A couple of their famous recipes are like iron cake 8653 or just 8653, the jaji tool, the tuji tool. These are teas that they make in huge quantities, so definitely well known. They are based up in kind of northern poor growing country in Dali, where a lot of their tea is from, but they also just process their tea to be a very specific style. So we are today going to be talking about teas that are atypical. So not really fitting in that image. They make so many different teas and they have a lot of places that will kind of subcontract with them to make different tea, that there are a number of teas that are fairly unusual as far as Xiaguan goes. I guess to really understand what that means is they're kind of like standard productions, and so you really do need to kind of know that basic profile, and then you can say whether a tea kind of conforms to that style or is doing something a little bit different. So there's definitely sort of a spectrum here. So one of the first things you're going to run into when you run into Xiaguan 2 is you're going to run into a little thing that says FT, so that says Fei Tai. So these are Xiaguan productions that are done by kind of like this subdivision, a company that is kind of commissioning these productions. And so I would say for the most part, these teas are pretty, or at least somewhat representative of Xiaguan teas. They're not totally XINO teas, but they do have some that differ a fair amount. For instance, they make 8653s under this label, and I would say that 8653 is definitely different from the normal Xiaguan 8653, but it is kind of in the same vein as Xiaguan factory in general. It still has kind of this sticky pine wood resiny aroma to it, so I would say it still sort of fits. But a couple of the teas that FT does make that I would say are actually XINO teas are the gold ribbon tool as well as the non-jiao. Specifically the non-jiao, I think even more than the gold ribbon. And these productions are a lot smoother. They're a lot more focused on texture. The original production from 2004 has been described by multiple people as being a little bit more of a boutique production. I've had a bunch of the different versions throughout the years. The 2011 too, I would say, keeps that same profile, probably a lesser version of that. So yeah, this is definitely a tea that you would seek out if you're not someone that's a fan of kind of the brash Xiaguans, but want something that's still fairly modestly priced. We're not talking about the 2004. The other versions are a lot less expensive. You can get the 2011 for usually pretty good price, 10 cents a gram or maybe even less. So definitely ones that are worth checking out if you find that Xiaguan is just too much for you. And another company that you're also going to run into a lot, well, maybe not a lot, but not as much as FT, but sometimes, is the XY company. So this is a company ran by Ye Binghuai, who actually did a number of famous productions, not all with Xiaguan, kind of in the turn of the century. Xiaguan, Chaowang, Green Mark, Yellow Mark, those were his. He's probably most well known for the Big Green Tree. He did the Jing Jia Hao, Green Sun, so he's done a bunch of different productions throughout the years. So you will run into him. He has done a couple of Big Green Tree Xiaguan productions that, vary in expense. I'd say they're probably more expensive than the average Xiaguan, but less expensive than his cakes that he made at the beginning of the 2000s. So yeah, this is another guy that you're going to run into, and he does have some productions that I would say are kind of more on the softer, perhaps more conventional pu'er tea, but more atypical Xiaguan tea. So that's another one that you can look out for if you want something that's a little bit different and a little bit cuts against the grain of kind of the Xiaguan aroma. And the last one I would mention is a tea that I don't know that it's particularly famous in the East, but it has become very famous in the West, specifically in the last, maybe 8 years or so. And that is the Love Forever paper tong. This tea, I would say, is very unusual, and in many ways, I'd say it's a pretty atypical Xiaguan, mostly because it uses aged matcha. The rumor is that these the aged material comes from leftovers from the Jindai and Yindai productions. Hard to verify if that's true or not, but it's I would say a pretty good quality Xiaguan tea. It definitely is priced to be more expensive than your kind of typical productions. And while it technically is a 2013 production, because of the aged matcha, it drinks like a tea much older. And so this one, I would say, is perhaps a little bit more of a Menghai profile than a Xiaguan one. It has definitely a pretty punchy, strong taste to it that I would say is more aligned with kind of like a mid-grade material from Menghai Tea Factory. And by grade, I'm talking about kind of leaf size. It's not too big or too coarse of leaf. So that's definitely another one that's very well known that you're going to run into. Okay, so I'm sure I missed a bunch of teas, so if you're a Xiaguan fan and have some other XINO teas, Xiaguan in name only, let me know. Let me know how you like this video, how you like these different productions too. Always curious to hear about them. Xiaguan, definitely one of the tea factories that is fairly well covered by this channel, as well as by, just people in the West. So one of those brands you can find lots of info about. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all next time. Cheers.